and then we'll get right into the show. So
let's do it.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Rod. Joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
And we are live on a Sunday afternoon in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we have a guest coming in all the way from the West Coast. It is Peabody Award-winning writer, co-worker of mine on Game Theory, but he also wrote for Patriot Act with Hassan Minaj, Seth Rogen's Hilarity for Charity, Hood Adjacent with James Davis, and the second Zach we've had on this show in the last week.
Yes, it is. I got them mixed up. My bad.
My main man, Zach Rice. What's going on, dog?
Yo, how's it going, you two? I miss you.
I miss you too, buddy.
Oh, this is so sweet, the bromance. I will say, Zach, it is wonderful to see you virtually. Because Roderick raved about you, about how smart and brilliant and talented you are. And I was like, I can't wait to see him. And so
well, we both know, you probably know better than anyone that Rod's a liar, so
no. never that. That's my man, 50 grand. Zach, man, first of all, you were able
thank
to
you, Karen. It's great to see you too.
no problem.
You were able to get into this writing thing at such a early age, I think, because a lot of the people we're working with are old like me, but Zach is young enough to know what busing means and no cap. So how'd you get into the writing game, man? What was the start of this? Was this something you were doing in high school and middle school and shit, or what?
Oh yeah, dude, totally. It was always going to be this. There's no backup plan. So if this didn't fucking work out, it was game over. I have no skills, absolute no skills. I can't count. I can barely read. Yeah, it's so I kind of knew that I was I was always going to do this, or at least try, because I just didn't see anything else that I wanted to do that would be interesting. And I went to a high school that was very academically focused, a really, really intense high school. It's now it's top 10 in the nation for public high schools. And so it was really really and I was this is not for me. I am doing poorly at this school. And yeah, so I didn't want to go to college. I just kind of wanted to say fuck it and let's just try doing comedy in LA. My parents were you have to go to college. So I was choosing between Northwestern and this film school called Chapman, and I went to Chapman. I hated it. I did not want to be in school, and I didn't want to be in film school. I was why am I paying? I paid for my own college. It's why am I paying for someone to be take a cool photo?
Yeah. Here's a camera. You do it.
Yes, but
yeah, exactly.
That's your thing, and you hit on something that I think a lot of parents don't understand. I understand the importance of you wanting to push your children to further their education, but at the same time, everybody don't want to go to college, and everybody don't want that upper thing, because for some people that was enough. Okay, it's enough. Let me go find out something else to do with my life.
Yeah, exactly. I was why are you going to push me for 4 years and student loan debt to do a thing that I'm not going to do after?
Right.
This is just an exercise in futility for all of us. Let's just be real with each other. I'm gonna disappoint you. You're basically saying I have to go into debt to make you mad at me.
Yeah. So then, you're in school for something. You realize I don't necessarily want to do this or do it this way. What was the next step for you?
So I'm at film school, and Chapman. It's the film school. It's where the Duffer Brothers went, the Stranger Things dudes, and oh god, there's another show. Justin Simeon went to Chapman, and there's a big emphasis there at the film school on production, physical production. So how do you actually get this shot to look a certain way? And once again, too smart for me. I don't give a shit about that. I'm yo, let me write some weird flowery stuff in my notebook. So I just started doing stand-up in LA, and this is when I was 19, and I just stopped going to class, and I met a dude at one of these like open mics, and then I started getting booked on shows, and he was like, yo, you're funny, you're super young, do you want to come like work with these guys that I work with? And I was like, that's a lot of guys, I don't know who these people are, but sure. And they ended up writing the movie Neighbors with Seth Rogen. And so I was like their intern / writer's assistant / whatever. It was basically, we like lived in this house together, and I would, I'd get them coffee and stuff, but eventually like they would let me pitch jokes, and they were like, you should apply, like you actually can write jokes, so you should apply to like The Onion or like The New Yorker or whatever. And so they helped me like write a packet for The Onion. Then when I was like 21, I sent in a packet and then just got accepted as a writer there. And
when you say these guys, is one of these guys Seth Rogen? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's just some random fucking dudes off the street. One of them smoked weed all the time.
Like, you kind of glossed past it, but it's like, yeah, these guys, they wrote the movie Neighbors. I'm like, I think I know some of those guys.
Yeah, just some up and comer named Seth Rogen.
Doing all right.
Seth was there a lot, but it was these two writers named Andrew Cohen and Brendan O'Brien, and they've gone on to write like a bunch of shit and direct stuff too. But Seth was there a lot, which is funny because then like 2 years later, I was writing on his Netflix special, and it was just like 4 of us in a room, and I was like, "Do you remember me?" And he was like, man, I meet like 200 people a day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot you're famous.
And he's high for it for most of it. So he's like, dude, I don't remember Tuesday.
Yeah. You're talking about 2 years ago? What are you talking about? Yeah, so I was working with these. Seth would be there a lot. And I remember a small, very funny Seth story is that like, so the cross streets of this house that we were writing out of, it was like on La Cienega and Sunset in the middle of West Hollywood. It's like a pretty big intersection. Those are 2 like very big streets in Los Angeles, and it looked out. The window looked out onto the intersection, and so it was really good for people watching. And we had these like tactical military grade binoculars, and we would like if we couldn't like figure out something in the script or whatever, like we would take turns with the binoculars like observing people. And then one time someone on the street, we realized that the windows were tinted, and someone pointed up and they just saw Seth Rogen with binoculars looking at them. And we had to stop doing that.
Yeah, I can imagine. So when you're working with people like that and they're going on to become like more successful, do other things, is there like pressure to like, like, hey man, what you doing next? Let me get in on that. Or did you kind of want to go your own way, or what? Like, how does that work?
Oh, I mean, I feel like you definitely have to toe the line, because like you like, oh god, now we're just talking about networking tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, so for example, I with Seth didn't say anything to him after. Like, right. Once again, he's, super, super famous dude. And then I was like, I'm just going to do my own thing. And then maybe at some point we'll reconvene in the future and it'll be like a funny story for us. And that ended up happening. But I think like with someone like him or anyone of that like Hassan, Minaj or whatever, like they're sort of dictating where the relationship goes. Like, right. And it's about you being like, I'm still alive. Like if you if you ever want to hang out again.
Just standing outside with your hand on their window.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm here.
You remember me?
Okay.
Yeah, the key to making in this business is just being outside of people's windows. You got to be like line of sight. Get restraining orders against you, whatever it takes. You fucking do it.
I'm just trying to bump into people at the grocery store.
Rod has written down the location of every grocery store in Los Angeles that he knows famous people shop at.
All right, so that's Seth Rogen's Publix. And,
is that how you met Bomani?
Yeah, honestly, he was going in Bilo, and I just was like, I bumped into his cart, and I was like, oh shit, Bomani Jones. Nah, that's cool though, man. I think the reason I was gonna say that is because I do think relationships has a lot to do with it, because people probably don't want to work with people they don't enjoy working with. You know what I mean? And then people also like working with people that they know have accomplished shit or can do shit, right? So it's like if we work well together, we were able to construct some shit together. I'm looking forward to working with you again. If I have a new project, your name will be in my mind, you know? So I think that's definitely got to be a part of it, you know?
Someone once told me that like the best thing to do is like, because everyone hates getting that fucking email, and I'm sure you guys get this a lot too, of like the email where it's like, hey, I was wondering if you had any work for me. That's a really bad way to go about this. Like someone once told me like the best thing to do is to, if you are looking to like be top of mind for someone still, but like don't want to just beg for work, is to like send them what you are working on currently and what you've accomplished and not ask for anything. And they're much more inclined to then be like, oh, I actually have something that would be cool for both of us, you know?
Because it's interesting because like it's an industry that's not really like when I work in corporate America, you know, like corporate America, you have a job, you do that job for a certain amount of time. If you either get promoted or you get reviewed or whatever the fuck, or you get fired or laid off, and then you want to look for another job, you just go on LinkedIn or wherever the fuck, you know, and then you apply with, here's what I've done, and then you get a new job. With this, like, it's kind of like part of it's like that, but then part of it is also like you got to know who to know to apply for the job. You got, you know, maybe someone just liked working with you and they'll be like, fuck that, man, get this dude on the job, you know? So I can see how it would be a mix, and you don't want to be too pressed, because if you're the motherfucker that's always on someone's neck about giving me a job, I know people are going to stop answering that phone call for sure. So I feel you that. So did you write for The Onion, like, or I guess, you know, submit to The Onion? How does that work?
Yeah. So like The Onion, I don't think they do this anymore just because like they're a dying media company, but they now everyone's all about the Babylon Bee and shit. Like they used to have this like a fellowship program is what it was called, and so like you would apply to the fellowship program, and they take the fellowship program very seriously. Like there isn't a single staff writer there who didn't go through the fellowship program. So it's basically like your only way in. But the reason that they do it is to sort of like democratize the way that people get accepted. Like the packets that you send in are read completely blind. And they really just take people based on joke writing skill. And I mean, we could obviously talk for a long time about whether that is true meritocracy or not, because you end up finding out that the people who most proficiently adapt the Onion's voice are people who went to Ivy League schools, because
like, that's what they're looking for, and that's who they are, and that's what they think is funny.
Correct.
Exactly. And so I mean, so I just sent this shit in, not knowing really anything about the Onion except that I liked it growing up, and then they're like, fly to Chicago, and I'm like, okay. I got into the fellowship program, and man, I was not prepared for that. I was not ready.
Why? Because it was so hardcore, or what?
So super hardcore, but also like comparing the voice of the Onion, which is like the super strict, rigid Ivy League voice, like just like the coldest, stalest, most Protestant motherfuckers, like just constantly like referencing like old Shakespeare and like encyclopedic references to The Simpsons, and you know, really talking about like with each joke, like dissecting it to a point where it's no longer funny, and it's like getting super philosophical. And I contrasting that with like what I was doing with like the Neighbors writers, which was like, yo, wouldn't it be funny if like we said come?
Right.
and I was just like, oh, this is not for me.
It's like the difference. It's like, wouldn't it be funny if we said come, and then the Onion is like, to come or not to come? That is the question.
What when you think about it, what is come? Is come is a social construct. Really, come is all of us, if you think about it. What
happens when an Onion joke bombs? You know what I mean? Like,
dude, Oh, I have a great story about it. So the first day I show up, because once again, as the day is getting closer to me actually starting, I'm like, oh man, I am not prepared. I'm like trying to like quickly read through like the Iliad and the Odyssey. Like I'm like, this is gonna be important. And I show up and I'm like, yo, I sweat a lot, and it's Chicago in the summer. And I'm like, no one can see me sweating. I need to like make sure that they like think I'm confident. So I showed up. It's like 100 degrees out. I show up in like 6 shirts. So already they're like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? He's like wearing a straight jacket. And then meeting starts, and the way that it works is like it's called like a timely meeting in the morning. It functions similar to like an actual newsroom. So you get there. There's a timely meeting at 10. So everyone shows up at 9. And you basically, for an hour, you write timely headlines based on whatever news is breaking. And then like at 9:55, you send your headlines to the managing editor. Excuse me. And the managing editor then compiles the list of all the headlines that everyone has submitted, takes all the names off of them, and prints the list. And then you go into the meeting, the editor-in-chief has the big list of all the headlines and just begins to read them very stoically. And if the joke has to get 2 people say like yes to a joke for it to go to the next round. But when it gets to your section, you're listening really intensely to see who's voting, and no one knows whose headlines are whose. So it's like, you're getting a fair reaction from the room.
Right.
And the first meeting, I'm wearing all these shirts. They get to my like 10 headlines in the big list, and not a single person voted for any of my headlines. Oh. And so like he just reads 10 straight jokes of mine, just fucking nothing, just fucking bomb. Silence in the room. And after that, I remember I went into the alley like next to the office after the meeting was done. And I was just crying, and I called my mom and I was like, I don't think I can do it. Like, because it was just so intense. And I was like, oh man, I'm not ready for this, but like I have to somehow figure it out, you know?
How old were you?
21.
Oh man,
real young.
That's rough, dog. Like,
yeah.
Cause like even with game theory, when we punch up jokes and stuff, like your name's not on it or whatever, and there is that moment where they're reading your shit and everyone's in a room together or something, and it's especially on like the day of the show where it's thumbs up, thumbs down. It's no fucking like, oh, we don't want anyone's feelings to be hurt. It's really like, this is funny or not funny. And it can, if you don't have confidence, it can get to you, because it really is like, no, that's a no. No, we need a better joke. No, you're just like, okay, yeah. All right, yeah, that makes sense. Sure,
I'll try again.
Like, I never fought for a joke that I wrote, even if I thought like, you motherfuckers don't get it. I just was always like, all right, I'm Kobe. Like, if I gotta shoot 45 shots, and I gotta shoot 45 shots today, that's how I'm gonna treat this shit. But I really would be like, that's a bucket. I can't believe y'all can't see that inside. But so how long do you stay at the Onion? Do you get better? Does it get better? Or are you just like, man, I'm out of here?
Oh, it definitely got better. I like, you have no choice but to get better. Like, and I learned later that like most people's first couple weeks are pretty rough. Like it takes a couple weeks to get your first headlines on and stuff. But man, yeah, tough. I was there for a year and a half. And then I got I got like a few jokes on that show, Billy on the Street. Like I was submitting, and like I got agents and managers. And then
so before we get to Billy on the Street,
yeah,
is there a point in the like Zach Rice movie? Exactly is what I'm gonna name it. In the Zach
How'd
Rice,
you come up with that?
just jokes, you know what I'm saying? Just brilliant. So in this movie, is there a part where your montage of you reading the Iliad and watching every episode of The Simpsons, and that's how you got better at the Onion, or you just figured out what made these people laugh?
No, I just figured you figure out like what your niche is within the Onion universe. And it's like, okay, I'm not the smartest at politics. I'm not like gonna be writing these super like incisive social commentaries. what are the things that like make me laugh and what am I good at? And like, so I ended up pitching like I just did like a lot of the sillier stuff. And just sort of like found my lane doing that. And like, then it became fun for me. And then it's like, people start saying like, oh, that's such a Zach joke. And then you start to realize like, oh, that is like my voice. That's like what they're recognizing, like my value in the room.
So you were doing stuff like the man can't believe Dunkin' Donuts still open type of like,
much more like local observations, a lot of like area man jokes, or like mom does this or grandma does this.
Okay.
Because like, yeah, I think like one of the, like, I think the first headline I got on was like, nation wastes 3 billion hours per year trying to figure out where tape roll starts. And like, like that was my lane. Was like, all right, he's gonna write some dumb shit.
They need
that's
that,
not dumb. I agree. Yeah. In fact, that's a fact.
Honestly, they need that, man. Like, I was telling Tommy that when we were working on his rewrites for the last script for basically fuck the draft or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, dude, it's too smart. Like, I don't know how to break this. I don't even know how to tell you this, Tommy. But we gotta like make this shit kind of dumb. Like we need some fart jokes and some fucking big stuff, and like just dumb shit, because right now it's so smart. It's just gonna be like dense. You know what I mean? And so I think that helps.
Yeah, like, man, there are times like at the show where I wanted to be like, just like, please, like, everyone remember this is supposed to be like fun. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you know, like, it needs to be fun for all of us who are writing. It needs to be fun for the people making graphics. It needs to be fun for the producers. Like, we're making a funny TV show, and like, if we like forget that, then this may as well just be like a long form article in like the Atlantic or something.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like there's already people that kind of cover the serious lane of sports, you know what I mean? Like outside the lines and all this shit, where it's like,
yeah,
and all these documentaries are like, we're gonna do a deep dive into the social economic pressures. It's like, that's cool. Yeah. I feel y'all, but like, if we can't call the people at the Masters some Klansmen, then it's not gonna hit.
No, it's not gonna hit the same.
It's not gonna feel no different than this other shit, you know what I mean? Or whatever we say about them, you know.
Totally, yeah, man. I feel like we left so much on the not to go back to our own work, but like, I feel like we could have gone a little harder at the Masters. Yeah, like I understand we were taking like an appreciative view of golf, and like, you know, people were concerned that it would feel too obvious for Bomani to be just outright anti-Masters, but like, it's called the Masters.
Right. Yes. That was like the first draft of my thing was like one of the first lines was like, it's a tournament in Augusta, Georgia called the Masters. Right. I mean, like you know, the joke that I wanted to get in that he was like, no, but it was the Masters. Sorry, the Masters has 7 black members and Condoleezza Rice.
Oh no!
And that shit got vetoed so fast.
I don't blame them. I would have vetoed that too, sir.
I cracked myself up so hard with that joke.
That's so good. Yeah, I mean, I remember like Sydney came in with just like the hardest, most blunt joke where he was like, the only like golf tournament where they don't call them caddies, they just call them slaves.
Yeah,
like, Jesus Christ.
That's real good. I can see why they voted that one down too, but that's fucking hilarious.
There's an alternate universe where that first draft we wrote just makes it. And it's just and like
and the show is over after 2 episodes.
Yeah. People at Fox News have a heart attack. ESPN fires Bo. Like, and we just had to be like, yeah, I get it. We went really hard.
And there's 616.
So after after this year and a half at the Onion, like, what happened? Where do you go next?
Yes, I did Yeah, so I had like one.
What's Billy on the Street? I'm sorry. What's Billy on the Street?
Billy on the Street. It's that dude Billy Eichner. He had a show on Funny or Die, and then I think like True TV or something. Where I mean, he just accosts people on the street. It's very, very simple. But like, I had like a headline at the Onion go like it got stolen by that guy named the fat Jewish.
The fat Jew. I remember him. Yeah.
And yeah, so he stole the headline, and then agents and managers started calling the Onion asking who wrote it. And then I started getting, so then I got like agents and managers, and then they would send me packets, and the packets would be for you submit to Billy on the Street or whatever. And so yeah, I got a few jokes on Billy on the Street.
Wait. What headline did the fat Jew steal? Number one, do you remember?
Yeah, it was I'm trying to think of the correct wording. It was like new Budweiser social anxiety bottle comes with 6,000 layers of wrapping to peel or something. I like something about how like when you're nervous at a bar, you start picking at the beer.
Yeah. And so he steals it because this was a big deal that the fat Jew was stealing shit, like when he got busted.
Yeah.
And he was like blatantly stealing shit and was about to like get put on through it. Like it wasn't just that he was stealing, but it was like the fat Jew was getting a Comedy Central TV show, and everybody was like, he don't even write that shit.
It would have just been a full episode of Chappelle's Show.
Straight up. It would have been like a ripoff of the Carlos Mencia show, which was a ripoff of the Chappelle show. Like this dude's doing blackface. None of these jokes make sense.
He wants to call his show Jew and Peel.
Yeah. How'd you find out that your headline was one of the ones stolen? Was it just like your friends and stuff reaching out to you?
Yeah. I started getting like a bunch of texts with his posts that were like, "Did you write this? Did you write this?" And then, then it all kind of just happened very quickly. And like,
damn.
Yeah. So honestly, he blew me up. Like, thank you.
That's what I was about to say. Like, low key. Thank God for the fat Jew stealing your shit. Like, that's crazy. Like, you got an agent because they was like, yo, this some good stolen shit.
They was like, we know he didn't write this. Who wrote this? Find out who wrote this.
That's dope, man. All right, Billy on the Street, my bad.
Yeah, no, dude, you're good. So I submit to Billy on the Street. I get like 5 or 10 jokes on the show. And then it was like, then all of a sudden I have a TV credit, and then my agents and managers were like, you should come to LA because like now we can actually like get you a real TV job. And I was like, okay. And then so I go to LA, and then I submitted a packet to Hood Adjacent with James Davis. Yeah. And that's what I did next. And
James Davis, if y'all don't know, is our like EP on Game Theory. So like that's a big deal. And I watched Hood Adjacent too when it came out. Also, he's a friend with Bo. Bo even calls like his little brother. So I remember watching the show back in the day on Comedy Central and being like, this is a funny ass show. But it just felt like I didn't know nobody else that was watching it, which is never bodes well. Where you're like, yo, y'all watching Hood Adjacent, this shit's good. And they're like, what's that? And you're like, uh-oh.
Now you have to explain a show to them.
Yeah. Especially explaining comedy. It's like, it's this dude, right? So he's not from the hood, but like he's black, but he like deal with, you know what? Just watch the show.
Yeah, man, so wild because like, excuse me, now I'm 22, and I'm like, I was an intern at Comedy Central in college, so like, and the people who created Hood Adjacent, it's one of the executives, her name's Kelsey Parker. She's now at Hulu. She's awesome. One of the coolest people ever. And I was her intern. And then she was in charge of Hood Adjacent. And she was like, wait, what? Like, you were my intern like 2 years ago. What the fuck is happening? And she was like, I guess they're going to hire you. Like, I feel like even she, when you know someone in one context and then you have to kind of like break that mold in your head of what they are to you, it is difficult. Like, she saw me as an intern and not as a writer. And it was like, so they kind of took a risk hiring me. And like, but yeah, James and then the head writer, Sean O'Connor, they kind of like pushed for me. And
how did you see yourself at this time? Did you still see yourself as like quasi intern? Did you see yourself as like full-time writer guy? What'd you see yourself as?
Dude, I had no clue what I was doing. I was like, I keep stumbling into shit. Like,
You're just like bringing coffee to the set just in case.
yeah.
When you gotta go donuts.
Yeah,
All right, I noticed that joke didn't last. You like soy latte?
Yeah, I was having them sign. They're signing my timesheet at the end of the day. Like,
that's
yeah,
so
dude,
like,
it was fucking weird, man. Fucking weird. Like, because it went, dude. Yeah, it was like super surreal, and I didn't see myself any different. I was like, man, I'm just like a lucky little fella.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's kind of weird because like there's like an imposter syndrome thing that comes along with these non-traditional type of jobs, right? Like at least when I had like a corporate job, the imposter syndrome wasn't if I could do the job. The imposter syndrome was like, these motherfuckers don't know I'm not really an adult. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to eat pizza rolls and play video games all day, but I got to do this shit. You know.
There was so much of that, like, you know, like I'm like, dude, I'm like still, I'm blacking out still. Like, these people don't know that I'm binge drinking. Like on weekends. They all have like kids and families and
real job. You're like, oh, y'all take this seriously.
When I was in corporate America and I was an intern, it was because I started this program when I was like 15 or something. And so that's honestly way too young to be involved in corporate America. Like, if you're good,
is that legal?
Yeah. like it was an internship. I could only work 32 hours a week, but at that time I was getting paid like $17 an hour, which in terms of back then, that was like a lot of money. That was like adult money for a kid. You know what I mean? Especially with a kid with I didn't have no bills. I'm staying with my parents. I think they were even like my car payment might have been like $200 a month or something. It was like all this is just money that I can have and buy video games and do stupid shit with. And and they be talking like about their weekend plans and shit. And it's just like the whole time I was just like, they're like, oh, you know, I gotta go with my daughter. She's playing soccer and you know, I gotta cut the grass or whatever. And I'm just like, they're like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, go and see the movie Jurassic Park, and then like
that's our new gaming system.
Get into some finger banging, hopefully. I don't know. I don't have a lot of responsibilities, man.
I booked 8 p.m. to midnight on Saturday for finger banging.
Yeah. So, fingers crossed, no joke, no pun.
No, dude, I remember the exact same thing. I remember one Friday early on, like at Hood Adjacent, everyone was talking about their weekend plans, and someone was like, I'm going to go for a hike in Runyon Canyon with my son, and then we're going to have lunch at Chateau Marmont. And I was like, me and my 14 roommates are going to see if we can get so drunk that we can throw up into each other's mouths.
I think Taco Bell is bringing the Mexican pizza back, so big weekend.
And you know what? The older you get, particularly when you don't have children, this doesn't change because Roger would tell me how he would go out with some of his wing night buddies and stuff, and they would talk about like how they started buying homes and stuff really early. And Roger was like, dude, I don't want to hear about your mortgage and you cutting grass. Let's talk about something else, please. Nobody can talk about your 401k.
It was like a big deal for them. Like, they'd be like, yeah, man, this weekend I'm kind of excited. I got some mulch coming in. And I just bought I'm like,
it's the good mulch.
I'm like, can we just talk about fantasy football? Or like, I used to have this recurring joke with them where we would debate if if we should start a high class prostitution ring that was ballerinas that were also prostitutes. And it was, what should we name it? Should we name it Ballerastitutes or should we name it Prostarinas? And whenever they would bring up some bullshit like mulch, I try to start the debate again. Like, okay, but listen, we got some prostitutes, but they're also ballerinas. And like every fucking time, because I was just so sick of hearing about like daycare or whatever the fuck they wanted to talk about. So,
Also, sorry. So
Yeah.
when you started working in corporate America, the first Jurassic Park had come out.
yeah, it was something like that. Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you like 75 years old?
I want to say I was 15. I want to say I was 15. That's why I say you shouldn't be 15 working in corporate America, because the kind of thing a 15-year-old wants to do is watch Jurassic Park. Like, they don't give a fuck about the numbers on the weekend. You know what I mean? I don't care
about your investments.
Oh no, the Stockton account Monday. I'm not even thinking about that shit.
I don't care about nobody's daycare.
I'm trying to get out of the office as early as possible and go play basketball and do stupid shit. So yeah, I want to say it was around that time. I had to look it up for sure, but I want to say I was worried about watching Jurassic Park or some shit.
I heard there's this really cool thing with a cup of water.
Yes. Right. Which sucks for them, I'm sure, because they're like, oh man, with the profit and loss statement, I'm like, yo, dude, but did you see how the T-Rex can only see if you're moving, but if you stand still, that motherfucker like blind? And they're like, what are you talking about? So you're on Hood Adjacent, man. Like, what kind of stuff are you getting to write? Is because that's like your first time like in a live action like writing situation, right? As far as writing, and then someone's gonna go tape it.
Yeah, and I'm like the only white person in the room, so I'm like trying to be like,
you showed up for the first day in blackface.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
Yeah, in the same way that like I started reading like philosophy for the Onion, I started like browsing DuRag magazine and
DuRag Weekly. What color DuRag is gonna be in season?
Yeah, you walk in Zach's office and he's got it open like this. Like,
yes, be like, that fire on.
Did you guys see the new article?
Yes. Yes. Do you guys really think gold is the new black for durags in 2014? But yeah,
dude, I was like, I mean, a lot of the shit was like just trying my best to just punch up other people's stuff and like not be a nuisance, like I'm like, okay, as long as if I'm like quiet and I show up on time, then like this will go okay. And then they ended up just using me in a bunch of sketches as like little white guy. So I would like be I would just be in sketches. Like there was a speed dating sketch with gang members, and I ended up like going on a date with one of the gang members, and like it became like this whole episode thing. And the one thing that I pitched that I remember that I was like proud of was that like there just recently been some article about how ride sharing apps discriminate against Black people and like don't pick up Black people as often as they do white people. And then I was at the same time, there like Sandra Bland had happened recently, and like there were a lot of these sort of like, oh, police are going to pull you over for whatever fucking reason, and you're probably going to die. It doesn't matter what it is. So I was like, let's merge these two ideas and come up with an Uber service for Black people. And so we like did like a pimp my ride type thing of making a car safe for Black people. So it was like
I know that was fun.
Yeah, like a glove box that was like made out of like clear plastic, so you could see inside of it, and like like it had GoPro, like 40 GoPros attached to it, so it was filming at all times, and like.
And you know how to when you go to Uber now, sometimes they might have snacks or drinks. You're gonna have like grease and like shower caps, and in case you forgot your shower cap on going on the date.
That would be awesome. That should be part of the package, part of the premium package.
We had a like the wrap on the back windshield was Miranda rights. And it was like just in case like the police officer forgets to read.
Right.
Right.
That's amazing. Nah, that's dope, man. That so then like and also you work with Sydney there, right? Sydney Castillo.
Yeah, that's when I met Sydney. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that like he's also worked with us on Game Theory, guys. That's I actually watched his stand up.
I get it. Name throwing out the names for us normies.
Wow. Okay, my bad. No, it's fine. It's fine. It just reminds me of when I met Clark Kellogg working there. But anyway, because he said something very similar. Yeah, he said something very similar. Like when he saw me and Roy Wood Jr. hanging out, and I was like, Clark, come on, man. You see him talking to Roy. Come on, man. Calm down. But so you met Sydney there, man. What was it like working with Sydney then and compared to now?
Oh, dude. He's one of my favorite people of all time. I remember, like, similar to the Onion, after the first week at Hood Adjacent, I was like, man, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, I am not doing well in this writer's room. And we were walking back to the parking lot near the writer's room, and he could tell I was super down, and because I wasn't getting a lot on, and like I didn't know how to contribute, because it was like I was so used to a certain way that writers' rooms worked, and this was like completely different. And he just like patted me on the shoulder, and he's like, "You good, man?" And that was like all I needed. And like we've been like super close ever since. Like he's my dude.
Yeah, it's and I remember when we were first working together on Game Theory. We were sending slacks to each other, and you said you thought I was mad at you because I used punctuation.
Oh yeah, well yeah,
like,
then I just realized that you're old.
Yeah, I was like, Zach, I am this gray in this beard. This is not.
I mean, we learned how to type on typewriters because he told me that. I was thinking, what is happening? That means I'm finished with my statement. And I guess people think my niece must think you're gonna get this block. I'm not.
Yeah, it was.
I was like, yo, me and Rod are fighting because he said, "Have a good day," period.
He's screaming at me.
Yeah, I'm like, cool, holla at you later. And like, cool's got like a period after it. Holla at you later has got like an exclamation point.
Rod being sassy.
I'm like, I didn't know. I'm trying to adjust to this,
Cool with a period is like the meanest thing you can say to someone. It's like, does my outfit look good? Cool, period. Like, whoa.
It's like,
I guess I look like dog shit.
Yeah. Because like when we first started working together, we had a 3-hour like time difference. And we're co-writing this thing. So like a lot of our communication almost had to be through like text and shit, where it's like, yo, I'm about to hop in the dock, man. I know it's 4 a.m. your time. But when you get this, you know what I'm saying, just go ahead and do your thing, man. Don't worry about it. And,
wait, what was the story that you were telling me about, like everyone being scared of my, like, is Zach okay because I was like gone for a weekend or something?
Oh man, yeah, okay. So we're working on the Duke deep dive, right? And so I have a bunch of ideas. I grew up hating Duke. Bo comes to me like, look, man, I know you can like do this. I'm pairing you with Zach. Zach's been doing this shit forever. He's a wonderkind. We'll get back into some more stuff that Zach's done in his career. And he's like, so y'all work together and like trust it's gonna be dope. I'm like, all right, cool. But I don't know what I'm doing necessarily. I've never written some shit like this before. But I know I got Zach who has, and I'll just rely on him. But then we got this time difference. Boom. So we're working on something, and like I want to say, like we get to like the weekend where the first draft is due, or either the second draft is due. I want to say first, and it's like a Thursday or Friday, and Zach is like, because I'm writing it, and then Zach's writing it, and he's like, yo, let me holler at you. I got some questions about it. And I was like, cool. So he's bringing up some general questions about the assignment, and I'm like, these are some good questions. We should just like ask Bo or something, and then he'll just tell us. And Zach's like, can we ask Bo? Is that a thing? I'm like, I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out together, right?
Because like to fill in like my side, it's like I know that you know Bo. I don't know Bo at all, and like I've worked at shows where it's been like, maybe it's okay to talk to a host, maybe it's okay to talk to an actor, sometimes it's not. Like
right, exactly. So I'm just going off of let's ask, and if they tell us that was the wrong thing to do, we'll go, all right, cool. So like I think I slacked Bo or something, and he like kind of hits with a couple answers, and then like Stu, I think Zach slack Stu, and then Stu's like very like let's go, let's get on the phone, let's talk about it. And so he calls Zach, and then I get a 3-way call from Zach and Stu like, hey, now in my mind I'm like, oh, does this just escalate? Like this is becoming like some type of emergency? Like it's like 8 o'clock at Friday night for me. So I'm like, oh fuck, did we fuck up somehow by asking questions? And so Stu's like, yeah, Zach's just really, he's not sure about what to do. And he, it sounds like he just has some questions about this thing. And I'm like, yeah, I do too. But I think I know where Bo wants us to go with it. But I feel like it would behoove us to talk to him so that Zach would be comfortable. Because I like the best thing possible is that Zach is comfortable, and then that helps us write better. Because I'm just assuming, right? Like I'm on some like I'm good till they say I'm not good. Fuck it. Is Zach like why do this work that we don't know if it's good or not unless like let's start in the right direction. And so I want to say that was like Friday, and then we were supposed to get up and do like Saturday afternoon or something and work together, but something happened. Zach didn't show up for Saturday afternoon, so then I just started writing this shit, like, and it was so much shit. Like it was so like I want to say it was like 20 pages. It was like combining every idea we had, because I don't throw other people's ideas out. So if you like write something I think it's funny, it's worthwhile, I'm gonna find a way to like finesse the shit in. And some of it repeated itself. It was a bunch of shit. Anyway, 20 fucking pages of shit I wrote. And then like the next day, we have like a due time on Sunday of like 4 in the afternoon or something. I still ain't talked to Zach. And now I am nervous. I was like, what the fuck? Like I think even also Zach had caught COVID before we got the job or whatever. So then I'm like, this motherfucker ain't like go to the hospital for COVID or something. Like, what happened
like,
to Zach?
Did he die? What's happening here?
Yeah, so like it's due date time. Stu calls me like, hey, your thing was due at 4. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I feel comfortable turning it in because I haven't talked to Zach and I don't think Zach's seen it like to finalize it.
Yeah.
And also he hasn't returned any of my slacks and stuff. Is he dead? What the fuck happened to Zach? So that's how that happened, and they ended up like Zach just hit me up that afternoon, like, oh, I'm cool, man, it's cool. I'm looking at it right now. I'm hopping in there, and we hopped in and did like a little Zoom thing and worked it out. But yeah, man, that was my first weekend writing for the job, and that was my first.
And I completely fucked you over. I completely left you hanging.
Yeah, I was like, man, this game is cutthroat, man. You can't depend on nobody but yourself. You gotta be. But low key though, Zach, it did teach me I had to have confidence in myself to write it, because if I would have just sat there and waited, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I talked to Bomani and I was like, I think we should put Rod to the test this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see what he's made of.
After that, nobody could tell me shit, because I was like, well, listen, I'm not saying it's good, but I can write. I can definitely write some shit, okay? And way more than you need. I can write 20 pages of shit, and y'all can figure out if it's good or not. But nah, that's what happened the first time we worked together. But obviously it got better from there, and we ended up whittling it down and stuff. So at Hood Adjacent, you're working there for that season of that show. What's it like when you find out the show isn't getting renewed? And like, when do you find out? Or do they ever come and tell you? Like, how's that work?
I mean, we finished like the initial 22 weeks in the writer's room, and then I just like went home and because like, dude, once again, I'm 22 years old, so I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do when something ends. Like,
right.
I'm used to getting like a message that's like, and now your next step will be this. But no one does that. Like, you are just expected to find more work or whatever. And so yeah, I just went home and didn't really hear anything. And then like 3 months later, they called me and were like, "Can you come back in for 8 more weeks?" And then me and Sydney came back for 8 more weeks to do like all the in studio stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I was kind of okay with it ending just because like I was like, I did my first TV thing and I'm really tired, and like I want to like figure out what I would like my life to look like and not be in Los Angeles all the time, because like it's just a very stressful place, and it's not, I personally like fucking hate it. So I was like, I'm just gonna figure shit out for myself.
So you say 22 weeks in the writer's room, the first stint. Are they like filming it, putting it together, and it's coming out, or is it like 22 weeks, nothing comes out, and then 8 weeks, and then that's when the show comes out? How does that work?
The latter, yeah. So it's like 22 weeks of writing, and then they filmed stuff after the writer's room ended. Like they filmed all the stuff that we had written, and then once they got it all back in and were editing it, then they had me and Sydney come back. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
man.
It's weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say, were y'all the only 2 writers to come back, or like the other people come back too? Like, how'd that work?
That's why it was weird. It was like, because I was like, oh, now it's the first time I've ever been in a situation where I'm being asked to come back and like people I know are not. And it's like, how do you sort of like give that information out? Do you say anything? Right. Like, is that awkward for everyone? And then you realize that like this is just sort of the norm in the industry, and it's okay. But and it's like, it's not like it was my decision. So
exactly,
I didn't do anything wrong, but I did feel guilty. Like I'm like, because once again, these are adults. I'm like, dude, I got nothing to worry about. Like, I want to buy a new vape pen. There's like, you know, life. Yeah, exactly. And someone else is like, dude, I like can't pay off my car. And I'm like, fuck, he should probably have this job.
And when there's just 2 of you coming back now, you do have to somewhat admit to yourself that they do want your opinion, right? Like before, you're like, I just want to keep my head down. Maybe people need help with rewrites. But when it's just like, we're bringing you 2 back, that's like to me, it sounds like something where it's like, and we would like you to contribute. You know, we value your opinion.
Yeah, I think so. And it like, so yes, you I feel like this is just something generally in the industry that I've like had to come to grips with, because I'm often like personally always scared of everything, and like scared that I'm not good and I'm letting people down and stuff. Now I just start crying. But like you never get, no one will ever tell you that you're good. You just like, you have to like find that I've had to like find that validation in being asked to keep working or like to move to a higher role or whatever. But no one's going to straight up just say, which is like, honestly, I probably wouldn't do comedy anymore if someone would just say to me, "You're funny, Zach." Because then it'd be over. That's all I'm doing it for. I just want someone to like me.
You know? If it was just like recognition, the king of comedy just walked into the room and was like, "I dubbed these Zach funny," and then walked away, you'd be like, well, what the fuck am I doing this for? Like, I got it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, great, it's already over.
I won the prize.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've told you many times before that you're funny, but it doesn't count. It's like my first job. But like Zach is one of the funniest people I've ever worked with. And I even count people I work with at IHOP and stuff, because those people were hilarious.
Oh man, wait, can I hear an IHOP story? I feel like
man. You know what? This one story is so bad, but it just tells you the kind of humor I have. But there was this Latina girl that I worked with, and like she was telling the story. She was telling a story in the break room about her brother getting into a fight, and so I'm coming into the break room, but she doesn't see me. So it's like the crescendo of the story, right? Where she's like, yeah. So he gets out the car, and then the other guy gets out the car, and he pops the trunk. He goes to the trunk. He grabs the nigger beater, and he's like, I'm about to. And I said, he grabbed the what now? And she was like, I said, what's a nigger beater? And she's like, well, you don't know what that is? It's like, I was like, no, I don't know what it is. She's like, it's like a stick that like you hit people with. I was like, but you specifically have a stick for that, and that's what you call it? what I said, was it a black dude you're about to fight? It's like, no. I was like, so it's just the name of the stick? Like, is it like a baton? Like, like I think she was like, she started apologizing and stuff, which is, I mean, I get it, but I wasn't really mad. I was really curious. Like
what
this is the craziest shit, because I don't have anything in my house named after a race. You know what I mean? Like, especially not one of my own. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, man, hand me that white. That white.
Oh yeah, can you get me a beer out of the Latina fridge?
Yeah, exactly. Like but like she didn't even mean it as a joke. But I think everyone was waiting on me to be mad. But as you experienced, I kind of have a twisted sense of humor. So like, it was like the funny. I was crying laughing. They were like, she was apologizing to me for like a week straight. I was like, I don't care. I just think that is crazy that y'all think that's okay. That just shit like that happen every day at those type of jobs. I also remember working at Wendy's one time, and there was this guy Bobby that worked the grill. And he was making chili. First of all, Bobby taught me so much because I was hardworking, and they would always make me do more than I wanted to do. Like, it'd be like, Rod, can you do overtime? You know, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm hardworking, I'll do it. But Bobby used to come in late, if at all, leave when he fucking felt like it, and they treated him like the king of Wendy's. Like, they would be so thankful he came in, and I was like, I am doing this shit backwards.
Yes,
but
you are.
I just remember one day he took the chili, and the chili has a ladle with a long like handle, and he just kept dipping it in and looking at the stuff on the chili ladle and going, "Hey Rod, that's how they be nutting on the dick." And I was like, what?
That conversation took a left.
That also was the funniest thing I'd ever heard in my life. I laughed the whole shift. I was like, Bobby, show everybody what you showed me.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, so that's funnier than that, is what I'm saying.
I do not think I'm funnier than that.
That's a high bar. All right, so you work on Hood Adjacent. What's the next thing for you?
Then I took some time off because don't freak out, everyone fucking relax, but I had a brain tumor, and so I like took like a year off, and then what happened after the brain tumor? Then I did the
brain. Were you worried the brain tumor was what made you funny?
Yeah, no, I wasn't worried about dying. I was just like, oh no, please keep the brain tumor in, because don't fuck with this. Everything's going really well. I'm writing on a Hood Adjacent.
They did x-rays, and they were like, well, the good news is we think we can work on it. The bad news is on the funny part of your brain. And we think it may be putting the pressure on the things that make you so good.
There's this weird thing, the brain tumor, it has a picture of James Davis on it. We don't know what that is.
We can't erase it to scrub it off. We tried.
I did that. I did that. So next project, brain tumor. And then project after that was...
Is that the one you won a Peabody for?
Yeah. It's probably my greatest work so far. My brain was like, your brain is so shitty, we're gonna try and destroy itself. We then did what did I do? Oh, Seth Rogen. That's the next thing. Yeah, so I had interviewed for I wrote a pilot that I had like a pretty big, like a very big producer attached to it, and excuse me, and so I was like, I was really feeling myself, and then I started getting all these interviews for like really, really cool jobs, and then some of them were panning out, some of them weren't, but in the meantime, my friend Sean, who was the head writer of Hood Adjacent, got hired as the head writer of Seth's Netflix special, and he was like, yo, do you want to just do 8 weeks on this? It'll be like me, you, and his friend Beth Stelling, who's now one of my friends. She's like a hilarious comedian, and Seth. And so I was like, yes, absolutely. Like, I will do that 100%. So it was just the four of us chilling for like 2 months. And like every day, like Seth Rogen is walking into the room and like we're sitting next to each other. And it was like coolest experience of my entire life. To just, we didn't do shit. I mean, we literally like every day it was like, so what was Superbad like? And he's just like, he'd be like, oh dude, like, and then just like tell like a thousand stories that like are just awesome. He's the coolest person I've ever met. He's a fucking genius. I've never seen anyone smoke weed and like be that smart. Like it doesn't seem to affect him. Like I swear there was like a time where like I started to notice like he always had a joint in his ear unlit, and then I would see him smoke it, and then there would just somehow be another one back in his ear unsmoked. I was like, is someone putting this in your ear for you? Like
Probably is.
That's his superpower, but like
that's somebody's job to be sure it's a joint in his ear at all times.
Like that's how like we found out Seth Rogen had superpowers, but it's not like one to help save the world. It's just something really small. Like yeah, anytime I smoke a blunt, it just reappears in my ear. Is what I do.
Yeah, man. I mean, I could tell a story. Who fucking cares? But like, I remember one weekend, it's like that classic like Friday at work. It's like, what are you guys gonna do this weekend? All kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Seth's like very gravely, like somberly almost. He's like, I'm going to the desert. And we're like, okay, like, you gonna kill someone? What are you doing?
To bury him.
He comes back Monday, and he's like, we're like, how is the desert? And he's like, I fixed my entire life. And he's like, I got like, he's like, we took like 100 different types of drugs, and he's like, now I understand like what projects need to be cut, what projects need to change, what projects are good. And like, I was like, oh shit, that's like how he works. Like he did like a vision quest.
Yeah.
And like, I can't imagine like all the projects that weren't working, like calling them on Monday and being like, yeah, I did acid this weekend and sorry, but your project's cut.
Yeah. I mean, I heard that ayahuasca trip shit do be helping. Like I do
ketamine. I do ketamine for depression, and it's like life-changing shit. So good.
That's crazy, man. Like
we should all do drugs.
Yeah. First of all, why isn't everyone doing drugs? Okay. I watched. I used to listen to not because I stopped listening because they stopped making it, but Neil Brennan's podcast, How Neil Feels, and it used to be like it's funny, but it was fucked up because he would be like so mean to like fat people and addicts. like he would just say the meanest shit whenever like a question about them came up. And then he did ayahuasca, and for real deal, like changed his outlook and was like, yeah, I don't need to be doing that anymore. I was just like, so like he probably got dozens of emails and letters and shit about, yo, this is mean, stop doing this, it hurts my feelings, blah blah. And he did like one trip and was like, yeah, I don't know why I was doing that. That's not cool. Oh, and he believed in God after that. Like what? Like, dude. That's crazy.
Do you guys want to talk about drugs? We could talk about drugs. Because, like, dude, I had like actually, Neil is the first time that I ever heard about ketamine therapy for depression. Because he was in, I was listening to him speak, and he basically like said the exact same thing that I was experiencing, which is like, I've tried like 15 different antidepressants and none of them work. I still feel awful and like don't really see the point of any of this. And so he got into this ketamine therapy trial through Johns Hopkins, and like ketamine is, I don't know if you guys know a lot about it, but it's a horse tranquilizer. Like it's, it like vets use it, and it's also like a big party drug in like the LGBTQ community.
Okay.
And it's an insane psychedelic. Like I've done like a lot of drugs. I'd never done ketamine because I was like, yo, I don't even know like how I would get this really, or like what it would do. But I was like, yo, like I started hearing he talked about it, and then someone else did. And then during COVID, I was like, yo, I have all this time and I'm super depressed because I can't see anyone. I'm going to try this. Fucking changed my entire life. I was like, God is real. I am part of like a beautiful existence. Like nature and like the world around me is like pulsing with life and I'm a part of life and like have not been depressed since. Like,
wow. I know
Yeah.
I'm afraid of the drugs. Once the drugs stopped having street names, I got more scared. You know what I mean? 'Cause like, like back in the day, it's like you have a street name for your drugs, like, oh, you on that white horse or whatever the fuck. But now shit is just like, oh, we fuck with Percocet, you know what I'm saying? We doing
now they doing like whatever their chemical compound is on a periodical table, and I'm like, y'all sound like I'm getting close to death.
Like all the rappers I listen to know the pharmaceutical name of the drugs they use.
Right.
Like it don't feel right. I'm not saying it's bad, but it just
has 2 chlorine and 2 oxygen. You're like, no, I don't want any of the shit that you're taking.
Yeah, it feels different. Like when I was coming up, that it'd be like, you know, he got on that white lady and now he's doing this or whatever. You're like, what's the white lady?
Yes.
I had to look that up. But now it's like I'm doing ketamine, promethazine, and methamphetamine. You're like,
do I need a PhD to understand what you're talking
like,
about?
I know Future don't got a pharmacy degree. I know he don't. But
it's like now like the biggest drug dealer. Like I feel like in the past, like you would go to a drug dealer and their name is like Spider, and now like your drug dealer's name is like Dr. Prashanth.
Yeah, exactly. And like the
PhD,
the other thing too is like I feel like that's how you know the drugs are white when they don't have a nickname. Because like black people, we always got to try to make something cooler than it is. So you can't
some slang attached to it.
Yeah, it's like you can't just be smoking marijuana. It's got to be Mary Jane or it's got to be something, like got to be cool. But when white people are doing the drugs, it's just gonna be Oxycontin because they haven't come up. You know, they're not
well, it's also white people are genuinely not creative. So like we just have to call it what it is because we're not like funny enough to think of something cooler.
And maybe it's just me. I'm like, oh, white people like to go close to death in my mind. So I'm like, I'm not sure. I don't want to get that high. Like y'all like to kind of get to the great beyond and be like, that was cool. No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to smoke weed and not be stressed out. And white people are like, I want to see the face of God.
Yes.
Yeah. I've heard there's new realms.
Yes. I'm like, nope. I will stay at level 100 and be just fine. Keep my shit on easy.
But I mean, if that cures your depression, I mean, I feel like I would be probably, if I dealt with that issue, I would be searching for some shit.
Me too.
Because if you come back and you're like, I realize we are all one with the multiverse, and now I don't have anxiety. It's like, well, shit, I need to get some ketamine too.
Right?
Yeah, dude, it was like, so I'm basically, it was like, I'll set the scene. So like, my therapist is like, okay, so basically during COVID or like right before COVID, I like had quit my job at Patriot Act because Hassan asked me to write his Correspondent Center speech. And because he was going to do the Correspondent Center in 2020, and it was going to be like this big reveal. It was going to be a Netflix special because it was like his return to doing the Correspondent Center. And he was like, do you want to be the head writer? I was like, yeah, absolutely. He was like, you have to quit Patriot Act because it's a full-time job. And like, he was going to pay me through his company. And I was like, yeah, for sure. At the same time, that pilot that I had written, I went out to LA and I was working with this producer named Greg Daniels who like did The Office and all that shit. And so I was helping him punch up this show Space Force that like hadn't come out yet. And so I'm like, dude, my life is amazing. Like I'm going to like write the Correspondent Center. I'm working with Greg Daniels. He's like one of my heroes. And then that's like March 9th, 2020. and then everything happens. Everything goes away because like Correspondent Center can't happen because of COVID. No one knows if we're going to die. All the Greg Daniels stuff goes away because they can't film live action stuff anymore. It's only animation. So I get back to New York and I'm just like, dude, what the fuck do I do? I now I have no job. I'm stuck inside. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like the most depressed I've ever been. And my therapist is like, look, either like we're gonna put you in a hospital, or like you are gonna take ketamine. And I'm like, I guess I'll take ketamine because like,
Right.
like I may as well do a cool drug.
Yeah.
Like if the option is hospitalization or cool drug, I'm gonna pick cool drug.
Right.
So I go to this doctor's office, and I remember I'm like, man, how did my life get here? Like, how am I at this doctor's office about to take like horse tranquilizers? When I was like, I felt on top of the world. And then I was like honestly crying in this doctor's office. And there's this like elderly woman sitting like 2 seats away from me. And she like sees me crying, and she's like, you know what would cheer you up, honey? And I was like, what? And she's like, a blowjob.
She just starts taking out her dentures.
Yeah, dude. So I'm like, are you offering? And she's like, no, I'm not fucking offering. She's like, I'm just saying you need to go get a blowjob. And I'm like, okay.
She gotta stop saying that. Someone's gonna take that the wrong way.
Right. It's like, do you have somebody? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. So then I go in. I haven't done ketamine before, obviously, so I don't know what to expect. I'm sitting there, and like, you know, they put this mask on you and like headphones, and like they strap the like electrodes to your head, and then they're like syncing the music to your brain pulses so that it's like all like it becomes this like incredibly immersive experience. Drug goes in, they're like, yo, think about like a happy time in your life. I'm like, okay. And then they're like, good luck. And I'm like, good luck.
A video game? What's happened? Do I respond? Let me tell me rules.
Yeah, I feel like you're supposed to get like a Sherpa or something. You know, not like just somebody comes in like indigenous garbs and guides you through this shit.
Yeah. This is like 19 stories up in some like Brooklyn office space. And I'm like, this is the scariest thing in my entire life. I started thinking about like this moment where I was in Yosemite and I was camping. It's like a very happy moment in my life. And then it was like as if like the lights dimmed in a movie theater, and I was like no longer in reality. I was like fully back in Yosemite, and I'm like looking over the valley, and then all of a sudden I start flying at like 1,000 miles per hour through the valley, smash into Half Dome. Half Dome explodes into the universe, and then like there was like some guiding voice being like, you're okay. Like your life is okay. Like everyone loves you. And then, dude, it was like, it was the most insane experience of my entire life. And I like came out of it and have never been depressed since. Wow. I don't know what happened. Right. Because I'm not smart enough to understand the science, but like,
and it's not something that you like have to return to or microdose or anything like that. It's just you
return to it like every 6 weeks. I take like a booster.
Okay. Cool.
But like compared to doing like, I don't know, pharmaceutical drugs every single day.
Every day.
You know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, it sounds dope, honestly.
Also, sorry, have I like derailed the podcast talking about drugs?
No, this is what we do here.
Yeah, this is what we do here.
Yeah, this is why these shows always end up being so long. Like people go, "How do y'all do your podcast so long?" It's like because we get people to talk.
Yeah, we got all of the questions.
We got great questions. Now, at this point, you say you were living in NYC. So at some point, you moved from LA. Which city do you like the best? Chicago, New York City, or LA?
Oh, New York for sure.
Okay, cool.
Chicago's a shithole. Chicago is. No, sorry to everyone.
Shots fired. Well, I mean, they're used to shots fired.
Chicago. Okay, if you're white in Chicago, the only things you can do are drink beer and eat cheese, and you have to wear flannel shirts, and you have to be like, there's nothing to do except go to Wrigley Field and like be belligerent.
Okay, so white Chicago sucks. I feel you. Okay.
Yeah. LA is like, it's just too much industry shit. New York is like, just, dude, the city's alive, man.
Yeah. And when you were doing stand up in LA and stuff, was your goal, were you thinking like, I want to be on camera, or like, is that still a goal that you have? Or was that just like, man, whatever it takes to get me into this industry?
No, I don't think I've ever wanted to be on camera. I'm like the worst actor. You go watch those Hood Adjacent clips, and it's like, I remember like friends were messaging me, and they're like, "Are you fucked up during this?" Because I was like, I would be like staring at the screen. Like I'm so bad for some reason. Like if you put a camera in front of me, I like can't. My brain cannot compute. It like scares me. So I just like can't do it. I've always wanted to be like a writer, like director, maybe in the future. But yeah, definitely not for me. Stand up was just a way to like get to writing, to be honest.
Okay. And did you ever finish school or whatever? Like, did you like just?
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's a funny story too. So like, so when I moved to Chicago, my parents were like super fucking pissed because they were like, the whole point was that you had to finish your degree, and they're like, you got to figure out a way to finish your degree. So when I started at the Onion, I was still missing like, you know, a year's worth of credits. So without telling anyone at the Onion, I enrolled at BYU because they had like a really good online program. And so every day at the Onion, I would leave work at 5, go to the Mormon church, and finish my like GE classes.
Wow.
And so for a whole year, I was like taking like classes at BYU, and I'm Jewish. Like I'm not a Mormon. And I was like working full time at the Onion. Then I would go to school at night. And then so technically I have a degree from BYU.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got that degree though.
And you don't gotta be Mormon to go to BYU, especially not online, right? So, yeah.
They had all the GEs that I needed. Like,
did you meet people from the like Mormon church, and were they cool?
Yeah, they were cool, man. They were like, dude, they're like the happiest fucking people. I mean, it's underneath is like this insane level of darkness.
Yeah.
You know, they all have like 100 wives and are like enslaving women. But
I'm watching that documentary on Netflix called it's called something Pray and Obey. I forget the title. Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey.
Yeah, Keep Sweet,
and it's about Warren Jeffs and the fundamentalists like stuff, and it all spawned off from the Mormon church when the Mormon said, so y'all can't be having like, we're not gonna do multiple wives no more. And they was like, you thought? I am. And then they left and were like, I'm still gonna be having these wives. So like that, it is like this huge darkness, which I guess almost all religion is at some point, like, because it's just rife for like abuse of power, and it will attract people like that. But but you're right. It's not like personally I have a story, a nightmare about a Mormon. Like individually, I don't have like I don't even know people individually that had these like stories about like, hey man, I was walking out the street and like a Mormon said something fucked up to me. You know what I mean? Like you basically gotta be. You gotta be in the fucking like religion.
I wouldn't even know if you were a Mormon unless you said I am a Mormon. I just, I'm like,
you gotta be in the religion before you experience the fucked up part, it seems.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question about religion that I think about a good amount. Because Rod, you said like there's darkness in all religion, right?
Oh yeah.
Or like at least in like institutionalized religion, where it's like going through this like the church or whatever. Why is it, if there's abuse of power in all religion, and we all agree on that, why is it just that Catholics have a problem with men molesting children?
Yeah, well, so that what I think it is that they have the worst PR.
Yeah,
because they've done because they've done the most their shit is so organized that it's almost like being able to follow like a company policy about that. Whereas the Southern Baptist Convention just happened, like they just had this reckoning like this year or last year where they found out it was mad abuse all throughout it. And it's like, but because they don't organize in that way where it's like, you know, this person is the diocese of this chapter of this.
And
like,
you
it's
can
not
see 'em move around.
so
and
it's
shit.
so like it's harder to see it as like what it is, which is a culture of abuse, because it's like, oh no, this preacher got in a little weird thing with some girls or something. I don't know. It's just crazy. But that's that AMZ Zion down the street. That's not, I mean, come on. That's not the same as the other, where it's like the Catholic, you know what it is? The Catholic Church is a franchise. Like the Catholic, the Catholic Church.
Yes, and they have to keep order, because that's the thing. They was like, somebody could actually do the flow chart. It was like, you move from this place to this place, from this place to this place.
Like,
you were here these many years. You can't do that with
like,
a lot of people.
The Catholic Church is like suing McDonald's, and then a lot of the other churches are like, if it's just like a breakfast spot, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a Waffle House or IHOP. It's just like, we can't sue every breakfast spot, but you can sue the Catholic Church, and you can prove that they cover shit up. So I think that's the difference. But I don't like any organized religion, because I feel like, and ironically, I feel the same way about the term mentorship. I always feel like it just draws a certain type of asshole. Like, I'm not saying everyone who does this is an asshole. That's obviously not true. But like, it is rife for the kind of person that wants to abuse people to just hop right in there. I still personally think all mega church pastors are atheists that just couldn't handle they couldn't handle the temptation. You know, as an atheist myself, they couldn't handle the temptation of the easy money. So they're like, this is the easiest thing in the world. I don't even really have to do any of the stuff I preach, and people will defend me and give me all the money. So like, I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. What do you think?
There's like a special place in hell for those megachurch pastors who, like, because it's not just that they're like abusing that power,
right?
And like, they're not practicing what they preach, but like, they're taking advantage of people who like earnestly want to believe.
Correct.
And that like, you're taking advantage of like really vulnerable people who are like earnestly like, I want to be part of something higher than myself. I want to be part of a community. And then meanwhile, they're like, yo, I have a private jet, and I've got like, you know, I'm hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. Like, and it's like, God, that's so fucking dark. Cause like
when I looked at that documentary about Warren Jeffs or whatever, and it was like, he got married to his 30th wife or whatever the fuck, and he was 76 and she was 19. I was like, regardless of how that dude how he expresses himself, deep down inside, that's a dude going like, man, I be getting bitches, okay? All the bitches. 19-year-old, I don't give a fuck. I seen that bitch. I said, come, like, that's a misogynist that just doesn't say it the way like a rap artist would say it, or like a comedian would say it. But just because he says it differently, like, that's pimp talk. Like, he had it on he had on the bottom of his feet, his shoes said "keep sweet," and then on the side of his house on the chimney it said "pray and obey." That is pimp shit. First of all, it rhymes. Okay. Yes, that's what pimps do. Topic. Like, you can't trick me because all your hoes is white don't mean, and they family don't mean that it's not pimping. So like, it feels a lot like that to me. So I don't know. I think
it is like it is grifting in this way that is just like, you change the language and the behavior so that it fits the community, but it's the same shit.
He told his people he wouldn't die, and he would be renewed and come back and give them all children, which sounds like be renewed, come back, and I'm still be on these hoes. You know what I mean? Because that's what that loosely translates to. And of course he dies, and these people had believed he wouldn't die, so they're all thrown off. And I'm like,
a lot of the women.
That's the craziest shit in the world to me.
Yes, and a lot of the women were very uneducated. So that meant that, and they didn't deal with the outside world,
because they run the schools, they run the police. Like, it all funnels down to this one dude deciding, I'm gonna take a stranglehold on this game. I want all the resources. They took over people's businesses. So like, if Zach's in my community and he's like, oh, I just had a successful business, we make it $2 million a year, I'll be like, Zach, you owe that shit to the church. Okay, it's now the church's business. That's pimp shit. That's criminal gang shit, but it's disguised as a religion. So of course I don't trust it.
Well, dude, that's why to me it's even worse than criminal and pimp shit, is that those megachurch pastors, they like purport to be upstanding.
Right.
And like because it's through the church, it's actually like it makes you morally good to support them, give them money. Whereas like if you just are a drug dealer, I don't think there's anyone who is like unaware of what's going on in the transaction.
Yeah, like at least,
but like, but the people who are like paying to buy the crack of the pastors believe that they're doing something good.
Yes, yeah,
and that's so fucked up.
I don't know if you watched that documentary, The Righteous Gemstones, on HBO.
Not documentary,
but
dude, it's
so
the best documentary of all time. It's
so good because it's so good because it really just hits at the core of that bullshit where it's like you can't be a good person and live this opulent and greedy and really say that you're doing it for other people. Like this is for you, and this is a expression of your greed. So
yeah, like at least if you're like a crack dealer, you're giving people crack. Like crack feels good. Like like if it, like when you're a megachurch pastor, you're giving people lies and they think it's real and they don't get anything tangible from it. Like they don't there's nothing that changes in their life. They don't get to feel good for at least an hour. Like
exactly. Like you just giving people like some songs and like and like a rah-rah speech, and then you want all their money. That's crazy to me, dog. And then to make it the worst part is every time they get caught. I remember there was this pastor, Eddie Long, he died, but he got caught abusing like boys, and then he like did blatantly obvious that he did it. And I remember some people in my family that went to his church when the scandal first broke, and the person was like, well, you know, they just trying to take down our pastor because they jealous that our pastor does this, that, and the other. I was like, that's what you say about like a football player or like that. That's not what you say about a moral leader that gets caught doing something fucked up. You don't start, I gotta have his back because we got a big game on Sunday. Like it's the fucking pastor, dog. You're supposed to stop going to that church or be like, he gotta go. Like you can't just go. Well, I gotta show up because it's gonna look whack if we don't show up and support the pastor. Like fuck out of here. All right, so Patriot Act, right?
Back on the Patriot Act.
So back to Patriot Act. What do you want to know about
religion? Is bullshit. So back to the Patriot Act. You're working. How was the Patriot Act, man? Because also I know, to me, the big story for the Patriot Act is the story that never airs, like the Saudi Arabia thing. Like, what was it like being there for that? Were you scared? Was it just like, this is fucked up? Like, how did you experience it?
Dude, yeah, that was crazy. Cause like, so for context, like the first episode of the show was about affirmative action, and like, it was really well thought out, and it was like a very interesting piece about how like Asian Americans potentially abuse affirmative action to further themselves in Ivy League institutions, etc. And like, you know, the whole thesis of it was like, you should not be mad at Asian Americans. You should not be mad at Black people or Latino people for affirmative action. You should be mad at legacies. Because there's a large portion of people who go to Ivy League schools who are only there because their parents went there. And that's like the real insidious thing. Anyway, the Saudi Arabia episode, dude, we thought it was like the most inoffensive thing ever when we were writing it. We thought it was just funny that we're like talking about Mohammed bin Salman, who like the chronology is we were like the first people to talk about him. No one in America really like knew about him that much, except for like he sort of did like a Western tour where he was gonna like talk to all these people in Hollywood, and like Saudi Arabia is westernizing, they're like becoming more progressive, and then a bunch of shit happened in the news that made it not that. And because we had this whole piece ready about how like he's a phony, and like they still have all these regressive policies over in Saudi Arabia, especially like towards women. And, you know, they still have, it's illegal to be gay there. Like you will be stoned to death. And then the Khashoggi murder happens and MBS becomes implicated in that, like as in he gave the order to kill this journalist for the Washington Post. And so now we've got to like rewrite quickly because we're like, oh shit. Our thesis is being proven true in real time. Like this is like a very bad person. And then Netflix comes down and they're like, you can't say anything bad about him. And we're like, that's interesting. Like, what do we do? And then it's all credit to Hassan and the head writer. His name's Prashant. Like, they towed the line very well of not directly implicating Mohammed bin Salman in this murder, but like still kind of holding him accountable for it. And then we break. The episode airs. It like, you know, it does fine, I think. And we go on break for winter break. And I'm in Portugal. Can't really access the internet or anything because I was on these like weird islands that were like cursed. And excuse me, I get some cell service and everything in my life kind of like changes overnight. I'm getting like, because Saudi Arabia bans the episode. And the reason we find out that Netflix didn't want us to talk bad about him is that Netflix had privately made like a massive deal with Saudi Arabia to stream exclusively in their country. And so I start getting, not only do I get like a bunch of texts from like friends asking if I'm okay, and I don't even know why I wouldn't be okay.
Right.
I see on Reddit that like Netflix has taken down the episode. Like the royal family has like decried this as like, they're like, it's like a war crime. Like you're like defaming our family and you're putting us in danger and all this stuff. And the episode was like pretty inoffensive.
Right.
And then I start getting like a bunch of texts from numbers that I don't know that are all in like Arabic.
You gotta do the Google Translate.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm in a group text with all the other writers, and all of our phones are getting blown the fuck up by like these like accounts that we don't know. And
are you replying back?
Yeah, well, I speak fluent Arabic, so I was like,
you replying back too long, didn't read.
Yeah,
doubt it.
Yeah, I did the Rob thing where I was like, cool, period.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, he's screaming at me.
Yeah, and then do they take down the episode? And then it's the classic Streisand effect thing where then all of a sudden Patriot Act became insanely popular because now everyone wants to see this episode that's banned. And yeah, dude, I don't know. It's making me feel weird right now.
Low key, y'all may have been the precursor to like Netflix getting a lot of shit for like having corporate values they don't like live up to. Because like they were very like, listen, it's about freedom and truth and expressing, and oh shit, they take that down. I don't know what the fuck, we gotta get this money. It's like, and now like fast forward a few years later, and there's all these people that are upset because like they had multiple Chappelle specials, and you know, they claim to be about inclusion and this, that, and the other, but when their employees are upset, they're like, you can go ahead and go there and get the fuck out. So like y'all kind of may have been like the canary in the coal mine there.
Yeah, I feel like it sort of just reveals this thing that we see a lot, which is that Netflix became sort of this like cultural phenomenon. Like, you know, I mean, look at your shirt, you know, and like it became this thing where it's like, oh, like socially, it's like, oh, Netflix and chill. Like we understand what that connotes. And you start thinking about these companies as if they're people. They're not. All they care about is money.
Right.
They don't give a fuck about their workers. They don't give a fuck about anything except their bottom line because they are beholden to their investors. And when that starts to get fucked with, you watch as all of their social progression and inclusivity goes away because that's all performative. The only thing that matters is money. And it felt very strange to be in the situation where like, so for example, Ted Sarandos, the president of Netflix, he started coming to all of our tapings to make sure we weren't saying anything fucked up.
What?
Yeah. Like we filmed the Saudi Arabia update, and he was there in the crowd. He's sitting
Wow.
fucking front row. And also, personally, I gave a real fuck you to Ted Sarandos. I saw that like he had like his own like little dressing room or like green room for him to like chill. And I went in there during the taping and I ate his sandwich.
Yes,
It's the small things that matter.
the revolution will start one bite at a time.
Come on through.
Okay, we gotta eat the capitalist, corporatist sandwich of America.
Was that your Obama?
No, he would have never said that.
No.
Yeah, I love. But that's funny because did y'all try to work in any like subversive material once you knew that they were gonna be on there? Where y'all just like, fuck it, I'm scared, I don't want to lose my job.
No, dude, we started writing like, because I mean, you know how I operate, and like how like when we would just be in the writer's room with just us and no oversight, it like immediately turned into like jokes about people who were producing the show, and we immediately started writing jokes about how shitty Netflix was and how like hypocritical they were as an institution, and we're trying to convince Hassan to do some of those jokes, and then like it just became like above our pay grade. Like
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
but
somebody
the workers, the proletariat, we were like, yo,
come
fuck
on,
these people. Like
the people, you know what I'm saying? Like it was funny because like we'd have sessions where like we'd be doing rewrites, and Zach would just be completely like heat checking. It could be Saturday, or Sunday sometimes, by the way. Like early week heat check is kind of like, I don't know, maybe it'll get in. Like, fuck it, it's crazy. Like, and sometimes that shit does make it in, where you're like, oh, they didn't think that was too far. But then like Saturday is like pressure or whatever, you want to get shit done.
Oh yeah, there was one in particular that we both know. I feel like you got to tell the story, Rod.
Well, first of all, I feel like Zach wrote the funniest joke of anyone at Game Theory, and it just never aired. And it was delivered the fucking best delivery of any joke. And it only lives at the writer's table. But it was a joke about it was the Tom Brady story about he was coming back from unretiring or whatever. And I want to say the line was something to the effect of like, this off season we learned two things. Like one, everybody's got crypto, blah blah blah, and two, that Jimmy Garoppolo's a hot piece of man meat. It fucking killed. Like,
that's hilarious.
Everyone, like, it killed in the room. Bo killed it with the delivery. We just kept going. We get to the end, and he's like, all right, so first of all, I think everyone knows all I'm gonna say. I was like, yep, you're not gonna do that joke.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, I'm not doing that joke. Now the thing is, I want to say it was like week 2 of the show, maybe. I do feel like it's possible by the end of that thing, that might be a joke he would have made. Because there were some jokes at the end of the show that I was like, I mean, I thought he would say no, but he thought it was cool, and we roll with those jokes. So like there was a joke I had about the Masters where I said they talked about tiger proofing the chorus, and I was like, tiger proofing is what Siegfried and Roy should have did that night. And
that's real good.
And me and Sydney were like, dying, but we were like, he ain't gonna say that. And then when we got in there, he did say it, and he loved the joke, and he was gonna keep it. And then he goes, Sydney, I know you must have wrote that. And he's like, no, that's all right. I was like, heat check. You gotta have a heat check in there. But no, that's the best joke of all.
No, dude, it's like, okay, that speaks to like a bunch of things about just like how TV works, which is you have to keep like the people who are working on the show having fun. Like, and it's like when I wrote that joke, like about the reason the joke is funny to me is it is so outside of what Bomani would say.
Right.
Like Bomani would never even like toy around with the idea of homoeroticism or like anything in that realm.
Right.
For him to just be like, I want to fuck Jimmy Garoppolo it would fucking destroy because it's just so out of left field that like people will be like, oh, there's this new dimension to who Bomani is in our mind. Yeah. And like, of course, I know that it's not going in the show. Like,
and it did lead to that Cliff Kingsbury Jag.
Oh my God, yeah.
Literally, Bo had everyone dying for about 5 minutes straight about Cliff. Like, it's just, there's stuff that doesn't make the show that is just such great organic moments. And I think even with that not making the show, it loosens the room up, and everyone was, because like it still played when you start talking about Cliff Kingsbury, we were like, oh, so okay, so it's not like some principled stance or whatever. Like, it's not that big a deal because you're comfortable with the people in the room, and it does make me feel like something that he would make that joke in season 2 might make it or something. But at that time, it was like week 1 or 2 or something.
My vote is for something for Pootie Tang to get in season 2.
I'm working on that.
Oh yeah,
but I don't look good, but I'm working on
it. What is your guys' deal with Pootie Tang? Why do you love that movie so much?
Pootie Tang. Yes, let's go.
Yeah, it's just such a great movie.
We went to the movie theaters to see that and watch people walked out. Me and Roger had the time of our lives. I love that silly ass movie.
But yeah,
Rod was like known in the room as like pitching Pootie Tang jokes, and they're like, Rod, please stop.
I got so close. I got so, it was like week 5, and it made it to like week 4, and it made it to the last table read. And I want to say Ty was just like, I don't get this reference or whatever. And Bo was like, but the people that watch the show will get it. And he was like, nah, I just don't get it. And I was like, fuck, I was so close. Yeah. So close. Next year, maybe.
Next year, yeah.
But yeah, man. So like, you do the thing with the Patriot Act. Then it's time for Correspondence dinner. That shit gets canceled on you. Now this would have been like a Correspondence dinner where y'all would have been roasting Trump in them, or what?
Yeah, Trump who wouldn't have shown up, and then we were gonna be like,
right? He stopped going to them shit.
Y'all was basically gonna do that shit without the main person for the roast there.
Yeah, and then we were gonna do it. It was gonna be really cool, actually. We were gonna do like this whole documentary, and like everyone had signed on. It was gonna be all of these interviews of former hosts of the Correspondent Center. So like asking Colbert about the George Bush one, asking Michelle Wolf about hers, like and really like kind of like talking about like the history of the dinner itself, and like how it started as this like merger between the political elite and journalists, as like, okay, we can all poke fun of each other, or poke fun at ourselves and at each other, and then it all went away.
Man, that's crazy. And
so
like,
no, it would have blown up my career. Like, dude, I was like, at that time, I also was fielding an offer. There was a researcher at Patriot Act who left the show. He's one of the smartest dudes ever. He was an Oppo researcher for Hillary and Obama, and so his entire job was to just like look up other candidates and like dig up dirt on them, and like, you know, get really in the weeds, and like with policy and like voting records and every like, you know, rehearsed soundbite that you hear at these debates. He was like the research behind that, and he left Patriot Act to be the head of Bernie Sanders' research team. And this was when Bernie is like surging, right? Like Bernie is the truth. He's like got all this like momentum behind him. And he's like, would you want to interview to be a speechwriter? And I was like, yes, like absolutely yes. And he's like, good. After the Correspondence Dinner, we can talk about this offer. And I'm like, great. Correspondence Dinner doesn't happen. Yeah. And I was like, damn, that would have been like the coolest fucking thing in the world to like be a part of a political campaign at that level and sort of like see the inner workings and stuff.
That would have that might have changed the direction of your career too. Cause like then there's opportunities that are less comedic, I guess, but you know, probably much more impactful and powerful on some levels, you know?
Yeah. Like I feel like at a certain point, it's like, I mean, I firmly believe that. And like I worked at Patriot Act, like I feel like we got lauded for a lot of cool things and stories that we broke that were maybe impactful to some people, or at least like new information for some people. But ultimately, I feel like I don't think any of that matters because, like, I don't think long form satire actually leads to change. Right. And I actually had an opportunity to like go work on a campaign that I believed in, and it could have been a part of something that maybe would affect actual change. And that's ultimately like what I would like to do, you know.
I would have loved to hear what your speech for Bernie would sound like. True. And if I would be able to recognize your voice in it, if you'd be like, and that Jimmy Garofalo is one hot piece of man meat. Like,
you would know it's me because he'd be like, I'm Bernie Sanders, and I'm a gay man.
Malia.
Malia.
Well, Zach, what are you? I don't know if you one of these what's next people, but what are you working on next? Like, or is that a thing you think about?
Oh yeah. I'm like, man, I'm a little too busy right now. You want me to run through the list?
Go ahead, man.
So I'm doing a movie. There's this manga writer that I really like. His name is Junji Ito. He does like horror manga. And so I'm adapting one of his stories for this director named David Michaud, who he directed The King with Timothée Chalamet. It's very cool. So he's like attached to direct, and I'm writing that. I have a pilot with this guy named Chris Storer, there's a show coming out called The Bear on FX. He directed and wrote all of that, so he's directing that. I have a feature movie with actually I probably can't say the production company, but
what is a feature movie? What's the difference between
like a feature screenplay as opposed to like a pilot? So like like a movie. I don't know, man. There's a lot. I like to stay busy and just like try
you stay working, man. That was the thing. You always got like irons in the fire everywhere. Super creative.
And then season two.
Yeah, Game Theory. You know what I'm saying? We back in the building. We got renewed. You know how we do. And then like, are you back in LA, back on the West Coast again and stuff?
Yeah, my mom. I'm taking care of my mom right now, but I'm here for a while, and then back to New York for season 2. It'd be fun because everything else I can do just on my laptop, you know. So like, I don't really need to be anywhere for it. So
that's dope, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and checking in with us and all that stuff, man, and letting us get your story. We have to come back another time and we'll play the games and read the news. I really wanted to pick your brain about like some white people news because we don't.
Do you want to do white people news?
Do you got like 10 minutes to do white people news before we get out of here?
Yeah, I can do white people news.
Cool. Let me pull up the white people news song. Here we go.
White people news. Excited to the barbecue. We might be problematic or a little bit different. That's so really harsh on our fragile pieces. White people news.
All right, white people news. This is where we talk about the stuff that white people are doing, and we got an expert in today. We got my man Zach Rice, writer for Game Theory, coworker. The first white people news topic: Colin Farrell. You know who that is, Karen?
As an actor.
All right, played the Penguin in the last the Batman. He went and got some coffee. And he didn't have no shoes on.
Oh, so he was barefooted?
He was spotted strolling the streets barefoot during a coffee run in LA's Los Feliz neighborhood.
The pavement wasn't hot?
What is up with that, Zach? Can you explain?
Yeah, I can absolutely explain. That's fucking awesome. Because when you're white, the whole city is your house. So you don't need to wear shoes because
that makes so much sense.
The streets are our home.
Yeah, I mean, he was on like the asphalt, and it looks pretty sunny out there. Like it's probably pretty hot. But he drove his car with no shoes, probably. So good for him. You love to see it, you know. I'm sure the coffee was delicious. You know, he got 2 cups, so it's probably somewhere someone is getting some coffee. Tom Cruise split with his girlfriend Haley Atwell weeks after she supported him at Top Gun Maverick premiere.
Oh no! What
as
happened?
they decided that they just decided they're better as friends.
We're not going to hear from her for like 6 to 10 years because she's been sentenced to some Scientology work camp in Utah.
Yeah, the
Oh,
NDA
that woman gonna disappear.
the NDA game is a little too tight, so we will not be. We'll have to wait for that.
We're better off as friends. Her family's like, we haven't heard from her in years.
Yeah, we thought we were better off as family, but apparently not. But yeah, there. I also like how in this picture she's clearly walking about 2 feet ahead of him, so he looks taller than her. Which has to be one of the rules that they have.
Okay, Karen, can I ask you a question? Do you find Tom Cruise attractive?
No, I enjoy Tom Cruise's running. Tom Cruise is an impossible white man. So anything he's in and he's running, I am 100% him. I cannot wait for him to star in anything Marvel as Tom Cruise. He's not even gonna be a made up character. It was like Tom Cruise as Tom Cruise.
That's what they should do.
Like, yeah,
like they should be fighting Kang the Conqueror or whatever, and everyone should be about to die, and then regular just Tom Cruise shows up. And they're like,
the TCU would be fucking incredible.
Yeah.
yes. Now, no, Tom Cruise, I don't find attractive, but you know, my Captain America, Chris Evans, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, that's one big piece of slab of man meat. Right
Come
there.
on.
Okay.
Him and Thor, that's a whole nother story.
Now, if Tom Cruise is in the headlines, you know who else gonna be in the headlines? Leah Remini slams Tom Cruise as his film Top Gun becomes his biggest hit. She said, "Don't let the movie star charm fool you."
I'm sorry, I was fooled.
You haven't even seen the movie.
I'm just letting you know.
Apparently, he made 700. It's made more than 792 million at the box office globally. And she praised her friend Claire Headley on Twitter and said, "Thank you to my friend at Claire Headley for your courage. You have continued to speak out despite the nonstop attacks from Scientology. Tom Cruise knows exactly what goes on in Scientology. Don't let the movie star charm fool you." She also shared a screenshot of Headley's Facebook page post, which read, "Glad all you Top Gun fans are enjoying the new movie. Personally, recent posts about this movie only serve to remind me of Tom Cruise and his crimes against humanity. Extreme, you may think? Destroying families is a crime against humanity. My opinion, ask yourself, when is the last time Tom talked to his only biological daughter, Shuri?" She's spelling all the T.
All the English gray.
So I do. They have a very hard job cut out for them because everyone seems to love Top Gun. So like you're being the one person that's like, but what about his crimes against humanity? Is like, this is probably the worst time.
Isn't crimes against humanity like reserved for like a genocide? Like,
yes,
he genociding these families. Zach.
Apparently,
yeah.
Okay, apparently it's the same level.
Don't let that fast that has run fool you.
Don't let him flying planes fool trick you.
One of my favorite African Americans is in the news, in white people news.
Okay.
It's my girl and your girl, everybody's girl, really. Charlize Theron.
Yes.
She debuted her new
banging.
Yeah, she debuted her new black haircut, jet black. 46 years old.
Come on, all black everything.
So she went ahead and went all black everything, as she is. She leads stars at Glittering Gala for her Africa outreach project, helping out the motherland. Okay. She is from South Africa, and she wore her hair in a mullet style to glitter. Wait, this is a mullet? Huh. I guess it is. Party in the back. Yeah. All right. The guest list included some other Fast and Furious franchise mainstays, Jordana Brewster, who turned up the glamour factor at the event. She slid her athletic frame into a sleek, skin-tight, sleeveless top with a futuristic print that matched her flared trousers. Oh, that's Jordana Brewster. Shout out to these people coming to help the help Africa. You love to see it, okay?
I like it's a pretty outfit.
Yeah. Sophia Boutella was there. TikTok star Benito Skinner. Wow, TikTok stars is making it to the
Yeah,
Hollywood.
they're famous. Yep.
Holy
because
shit.
You get a bazillion looks. People know who you are.
Yo, his fit is not as fire as they fits.
No, that's like a man that coming out disheveled.
Yeah, he didn't kill it.
He didn't care.
Rain Edwards, she kind of low key just wore some jeans. She just like threw that together. Like that's just jeans and a vest. She didn't get too glammed out.
They was like, you got to be there in 10 minutes. Okay.
Dreamboat smoldering heartthrob Mike Manning, who's been on programs such as Teen Wolf and Days of Our Lives, he turned up the heat. His outfit looks better than that other guy.
Days of Our Lives. Woo, you know the grandmas love that.
Comedian Sasha Mercy and Elva Trill. All right, this is starting to sound like rappers I haven't heard of. Sasha Mercy and Elva Trill.
Okay, now you know how I feel.
Are these white people or track rappers? I don't know.
Is she going to Cirque du Soleil?
Emily Carmichael? Yeah, she do like she about to hit the Flying Graysons at the fucking circus act. But she co-wrote the new film Jurassic World Dominion with his director Colin Trevorrow. So I mean that's a flex. That movie's probably making money. I haven't heard anything good about it, but I don't know.
Oh, it ain't got to be good.
But that's what those white people are up to. Justin Bieber. Do you know Justin Bieber?
Of course, he's been around forever. He in his 30s now.
He ended up coming out and saying that his face is like half paralyzed.
Oh no.
Because he has Ramsay Hunt syndrome. Which I did see like a Twitter thread, but I don't know that this is like vetted, okay, what I'm about to say. But there was this Twitter thread where it was like this person saying like this is all related to SARS-CoV-2, aka COVID, and being like this is all like this could be an after effect of having long COVID.
Let the doctors do their job.
And they had like a long ass thread about like all this like articles and stuff. I don't know if it's true or not, but doctors are studying that. Yeah, but they really were like, and then they ended it with like, but y'all just keep going out there and getting COVID. And I was like, what kind of doctor are you? There's no doctor that talks like that. But y'all go play with y'all little friends, keep playing them COVID games.
What they say, put on your mask, get the shots.
But yeah, it was a 3-minute video. He couldn't blink his right eye, and the entire right side of his face was experiencing paralysis, which made it unable to move. And it can be it is normally temporary as long as you get like treatment, and obviously he's gonna get treatment.
Of course, he got the resources.
Yeah,
I watched the video. I honestly think he's just doing this to spice up his life because Haley Baldwin is so fucking boring.
She is so boring. Like she supported him, but I was like, what? Isn't that what the expectation? Like, what does it supposed to look like? Like that's your wife. Yeah. Like, Haley Baldwin shows support for Justin. It's like, what was the other option? I hope
if you could tell me one personality trait of hers, I'd give you $1,000.
Right? Is she's one of the Baldwins?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah, the Baldwins like the Kennedys. You know?
There's a bunch of them apparently.
Britney Spears shares romantic video from her lavish wedding to Sam Asghari. She says fairy tales are real.
Oh, so she got married.
Yeah, on the low. And then like her first husband showed up and tried to crash the wedding. No joke. No joke.
Oh, for real? Come on, ain't that Federline?
Not Federline. Some other nigga that I had never heard of in my life. Like,
wow.
He was like, I said you will be my wife forever or some shit. And then security was like, bro, you seriously gotta go.
Wow.
But yeah, the 40-year-old pop star included footage of her and the actor 28. Oh, he's 28. Okay, Robin the Cradle.
Cougar.
Okay, now Fairy tales are real. She captioned the recording to the tune of Elvis Presley's 1961 hit "Can't Help Falling in Love." I think that's just a cross promo for that movie that's coming out with Elvis. Like, you can't.
Is he in that movie or something?
No.
Okay.
But you can't trick me, Britney Spears. I know you get paid for this. Oh, nah, he fine. I see you, girl. Okay.
He cute, honey.
Okay. Listen, all them naked selfies got you something. Okay.
Come on. She getting that back blown out. I don't blame her.
Yep. So, my man that slid up in some Britney Spears, and now she probably ain't got no prenup. You got to get half.
You know he is.
More power to him. And Pete Davidson is going to space on Blue Origin's 20th mission. Pete Davidson in space, y'all.
I know who that is.
Does Pete Davidson count as white people news?
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, he counts.
I don't know. I don't know what he is.
He's like Staten Island white. I saw that movie, King of Staten Island. He's Staten Island white. So I think it counts. But that motherfucker's going to space. That's good for him. You know, who would have thought that was coming? And last one, devastated Jake Paul has split.
That's the YouTube dude. Or that's the other one.
That's him, yeah.
Okay, I about to say it was two of them. I'm like, I had 50-50 chance to get it right.
They're brothers. And also, like, one of them or both of them fight or something too.
Yeah.
Something like that. You ever see them in LA? They live out there? Oh, they live in like Arizona or something.
I think they live in like Puerto Rico.
Jesus, those guys get around. Well, he's getting around a little too much because he is split with his Instagram model girlfriend, Julia Rose. More shocking still, it turns out the influencer turned boxer may have both thoughts and feelings. That was shady. There was much speculation that the pair were kaput last week when Paul tweeted, "Alexa, play 'I'm Single' by Jake Paul." He released a boldly terrible song of that name in 2019. Boldly terrible.
What way to describe a song?
Honestly, I'm changing the name of the Zach Rice biographic pick from exactly to boldly terrible.
I love it.
But sources say Paul has been out and about in Miami telling pals that he and Rose are indeed done. He's devastated.
I bet you he is, the way he grabbing them cheeks.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got the same grabbing. That's like how they advertise bras that lift and separate. That's what he's
right.
They added that the brave little soul has moved on with other girls, but that still his heart, she's the one. You can tell from all these pictures of him grabbing her barely there clothes. Like this is what love looks like. You know, y'all can hope to find this. All right. They added he would like to get back together with her. Maybe they will, but they both need to slow down their lives. It's unclear how Rose will slow her life down. If her Instagram is to be believed, she seems to alternate between doing nothing and doing nothing on the beach.
That's a life.
Yeah, I feel like the source was Jake Paul.
Yeah.
In that article. Like, it's really me. It's not you. I need to slow down. We both need to slow down. I gotta stop, fucking all these chicks on the side, and you need to like stop catching me. Zach, man, thank you for hanging out with us, bro. This is so fun.
Of course.
I miss you and I love you, man. Make sure that you take care of your mom and yourself. And I've already told you this in person, but like I'm very thankful to work with you because you really, like, no bullshit aside, you really did give me the confidence to be able to be like, okay, I think I can do this. Like, as much as Zach says nobody tells people they're good or whatever, he did tell me I was good early enough for me to be like, all right, I can do this. Let's fucking if I'm making him say it's good, then I must be able to be good if I'm work hard enough. So thank you.
Yeah, man. I love you guys.
All right.
Peace.
Until later. Peace. And until next time, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah.
Mwah.